Well, hey guys, welcome back to Figure It Out. McFarlane Toys has released all the new action figures from the movie Black Adam that's coming out this fall. So we're going to take a look at them right now. All right, well, before we pull things out of the boxes, let's just take a look at what we've got. This is the cloaked version of Black Adam. You can see that they're doing a sculpt on Dwayne Johnson and his face. We'll take a look at that in a minute. But I did want you to take a look at the back of the box so you can get a look at what the artwork looks like. So that's pretty decent. They all have this very same vibe with this yellow reflective shadowing on each of the figures, on each of the boxes. And so we have the back of the Hawkman, the back of Atom Smasher, which you can see. We have Dr. Fate, and then we've got Cyclone. So let's go ahead and get these guys out of the box and see what they look like. Alright guys, now that we have the figures out of the box, I want to first take a look at who they are, the characters, explain a little bit about it, and then we're going to take a look at some more close-ups of the figures themselves. So let's just start with Dwayne Johnson's figure. This is Black Adam. Now, I haven't seen the movie and I'm not crazy familiar with the comic books, but I do know that he is an anti-hero. He was enslaved and imprisoned and was basically immobile for 5,000 years. He is the arch enemy of the hero Shazam, which is why he's got this lightning bolt, which looks like Shazam's on the front, and so they share similar powers. If we go over here to the far right, we have Hawkman, and Hawkman is his name is Carter Hall. That's the character's name, Carter Hall, who was an archaeologist, and he actually is the reincarnation of the Egyptian prince that enslaved Black Adam, and but he's played in the movie by Aldous Hodge, and so that's Hawkman. He is the chief or the chair of the Justice Society of America. Next to him, we've got Cyclone, and that is Maxine Hunkel. That's her name. She's a member of the Justice Society, the JSA. She's the granddaughter of Red Tornado, played by Quintessa Swindell in the movie. And then we have Dr. Fate over here, which he's played by Pierce Brosnan. His character's name is Kent Nelson, and so he was the son of an archaeologist, and so a lot of the characters are around archaeology and Egyptian culture. Then the last one over here is Atom Smasher. That's his character's name is Al Rothstein, and he's also a member of the JSA, and he's played by Noah Centineo. That's right, Noah Centineo. So anyway, that's what they look like. Let me give you my first impressions of the figures themselves, and it's kind of, I guess, it's always the elephant in the room when it comes to a lot of these figures, and that is the paint jobs on them. The paint jobs on them are fair for a $20 figure. Okay, they are not super in depth, as in they don't do a lot of washes on these, so they're going to be flat. All right, well, taking a look at the Black Adam figure first, just wanted to say it is probably the best sculpted and the best painted of all the figures that I've pulled out of the boxes. If you just take a look at, we'll start at the back and take a look at the cloak. So I did not get the uncloaked figure of Dwayne Johnson because when I just looked at them online, it seemed like this one was going to be kind of the coolest, but I'm really glad I did because this cloak is so exceptionally well done. It's really heavy, but it's also very, very pliable, and I'm not exactly sure what they make it out of, if it is rubber or a PVC of some kind, but you know, you can even kind of pull it back a little bit and see some more of his face. It is really well painted, and so there's a lot of very subtle variations on this. One of the things that they did with this figure was they have this kind of gold dry brush that they've done over most of the figure itself, just really highlighting a lot of the textures. And there's a ton of textures on this figure. You can see from his boots and the metallic paint that's on there, the knees, just the texture on his legs, of course his muscles. I think they've done a really great job on the face sculpt as well, making this look like Dwayne Johnson. So it looks really great, and you know, you take a look at even the tattered textures on this cape. That is some excellent detail on this, and so I could not be more pleased with the paint job on this figure. And like McFarlane has been doing recently, of course, we have a lot of posability with these figures. The cloak does inhibit a little bit as far as the legs moving backwards, but you know, you can still get quite a bit of movement on the legs. The joints are again the same double jointed knees and elbows, and so you've got a lot of movement. These spin around, it feels like a lot more than what I remember most of the McFarlane toys spinning around. So a lot of movement in the torso, the bend, the lean back. There is a lot that you could do with this as far as posability. One thing I thought they did that was clever was they kept the lightning bolt separated on the waist joint, so it moves around and it doesn't inhibit his turn. So I thought that was a very clever addition to this. This figure, in comparison to the other ones, which you'll see here in a moment, with the exception of maybe our surprise figure that we're going to pull out here in a second, is by far the best painted and probably the most closely detailed of all the figures. If you were to only go with one, this one may be it. I mean, I do have my favorites, but this one is actually really, really well done. So if you get a chance to pick up Black Adam and the cloaked Black Adam, again, I didn't get the other one, so I can't really compare it to that one, but this is so well done. I give it a huge thumbs up. Great job. Moving on to Hawkman, the detail that they've been doing in these figures lately is so great. You can even see just sort of like these battle scars on, you know, let me focus that, these battle scars on the front, like his armor has been nicked in a number of places. He's really got some cool details, and just the fine detail on the wings themselves are really neat. I mean, I really like that, and the textures that they've been putting on a lot of these pieces have been really exceptional. It does come with this spiked mace, which the other ones don't really come with a lot of weaponry, so none of the others have anything like that to wield, but that's part of his character in the comics as well as in the movie, so looking forward to seeing how he does. But even just looking at the back, you can see even just some of the details they have on the boots. They did a decent job with this one on getting the paint where it needs to go, although it is, like I said, somewhat flat. The flattest and the maybe most disappointing is this Cyclone figure. That's the Quintessa Swindell actress figure. She does come with this Cyclone base, which I guess is okay as an add-on. It's not really that great. I mean, again, there's not a lot to it. You can definitely see these massive seam coming through it where they glued the two pieces together. It is just okay. I'll probably use it because it just is a part of who she is, able to control the wind. But maybe the most disappointing, there's not a lot happening with this figure at all. She is mobile like crazy. I think the one thing that I kind of thought was neat was they gave her these sort of puffy shoulder sleeves, and I was thinking that might inhibit her movement, but it really doesn't. The way that they've created it, she still has a ton of movement in her arms. But the only thing that she's got going for her is they did a decent job on the sculpt of her hair as well as the sculpt of her bodice, the front of her uniform. You know, it's decent. I'm glad I have it, but it's probably my least favorite of all the figures thus far. Looking at Atom Smasher, you know, his ability to grow, they're also creating a 12-inch figure of this one as far as a mega fig is concerned. Mine has this weird thing where he looks completely bow-legged, and I don't know. So I tend not to be critical if I haven't seen the movie. Maybe the guy is bow-legged. I mean, he honestly, he looks like he's been riding a horse all his life. It's kind of weird, but I love the sculpt. I think the sculpt is really cool. They have this. He's got this Adam symbol, which is raised, and so it sticks out on his uniform, and that looks really cool. I think they did a really good job on his face. When it comes to, that's one thing McFarlane's done really well, and he's done it well with Spawn and stuff like that, has been the faces under the masks, so to speak, and they continue to just do a great job. He has a number of different colors as well. He's got this brown belt, which seems crazy out of place with everything else that's silver, but again, that's part of the uniform in the movie, but it's kind of an odd. He's got blue, he's got red, he's got some black, he's got this silver, and then he's got a brown belt. He can really move his legs around. I mean, they've got all kinds of articulation with this guy. It's a cool figure. I definitely would recommend Adam Smasher if you're looking to collect off of this movie. And then the last one, which is probably my favorite overall, is Dr. Fate. And I just love the feel of this particular figure. He's super sleek. The paint is very two-dimensional. It's blue and it's gold. And honestly, on mine, they really messed up some on the belt. So the belt has this kind of intricate weaving that goes around, and there's some spots where they've missed it on the paint. And so it's a little sloppy, but I love the textures that they've put. They've put a lot of these textures on the suit itself. They put textures on the cape. And so the cape feels absolutely great. I love that it's gold on the back side of this, and so I think that that's crazy cool. Man, as a figure, this sucker is so cool. It does come with a flying stand, and I didn't pull it out of the box because I don't like pulling the stands out of the boxes. I like leaving them, so I'm just gonna get one the next time I go to the store. But he poses, he normally just flies around, that's what he does, and so I'm gonna be posing him in a flight as well. Man, I don't even know if you can see this or not, but the texture on the back of this cape has these little Ankh shapes in there, these little Egyptian shapes. I'm not sure if we can focus that close or not, but man, talk about some attention to detail. That is really cool that they've done that. And so when you look at that in person, and you can see these little Ankh shapes that are in the cape. Let's pull out a bit of a surprise. We've got one of the mega figs to this collection. All right, this is, it's either Sabok or Sabok, and this is the principal enemy in the movie Black Adam. This artwork is a little bit different. It's a different departure from the artwork from the other boxes. It's a little less comic-like, and it's a little more just posed figure, but it's still pretty cool, so I like that. So let's pull this guy out of the box and see what he's got going for him. All right, getting this guy out of the box, I'm gonna tell you, I'm actually really impressed with both the sculpt and the paint job on this figure. Just to put it in perspective, you can see this is the Black Adam figure and how tall it is versus Sabok and his size, and so he is much more substantial as an enemy, as you would expect. His paint job is much less flat. They definitely have a dark wash over this entire figure, and so it looks absolutely great. Let's get a little closer so we can see some of the details. He does have this upside down star that's carved into his chest. It's got this real rough texture, so it looks painful. He has these black streaks over his eyes. You can see his horns. You can see the dark wash over all of it. You can see when you're up close, you can really see the dark wash on his skin. The textures of, you know, his belt and all the cloth that's on here is the same as all the rest of them, which is absolutely fantastic. So, I mean, I've had several of the larger figures before. This one seems super cool. I hope this is a good movie because I'm going to be super disappointed if it's terrible, but even the skin has this really great texture to it, so they've done a really great job with this. I love the detail in the cloak, the details of the chain up front, the small chains that are hanging off of his belt. There's a lot of cool details to this figure. So I think they've done a super great job. Even so much as you can see on his calves. Let's see if we can get that focused. There are some veins that you can see going down the backs of his legs. I mean, how cool is that? Who puts these little tiny veins poking out on the muscles? That is absolutely stunning that they would do that. I mean, just these little tiny details that just make this absolutely fantastic. So he has little words, they're ancient symbols just engraved in his arms, his forearms, and so I mean just all kinds of little things with this guy. This one's super worth the money. So for a mega fig, I would absolutely get this. So my hat's off. This is probably the best sculpted out of the ones that I've shown you thus far in this collection. So I'm really impressed with this, but I'm also impressed with the whole collection. I really do enjoy these figures, and you know, my criticisms, albeit they're small, it's not that big a deal. They're a lot of fun to look at and to really see how the artists have taken care of these figures. Oh my gosh, I just noticed he has an exposed spine, but if you look at closely at the spine, they're actually little skulls. Wow, that is so cool. That is cool. Obviously he's some sort of demonic figure, so anyway, you really ought to go out after this one because this one's really great, so get them while you can. Alright guys, well that's it for Figure It Out. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed a little bit of a preview of these new figures from McFarlane Toys about the movie Black Adam. I'm looking forward to the movie. I hope it is good because the figures are good and you ought to grab you some as well. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, like the video. Really appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for watching.